Hey guys, firstly I'd like to thank you for taking a look at my Kickstarter project, Timber and Stone. In this first video I wanted to show a little bit of gameplay, a little bit about the controls, and basically what you're going to be looking at most of the game. Here we are, just starting a new world. The game gives us a random terrain, and we start with 6 random units. First thing I'll show is the camera controls. Obviously that you can zoom with the mouse wheel, rotate by holding down the mouse button, and pan by throwing the cursor at the edge of the screen. Basic stuff. I like to think that the camera works how you would expect it to work in a game like this. Looks like I'm starting with a blacksmith, forager, wood chopper, stonemason, carpenter, and miner. I'll need a builder for this video, so I'll have to change the profession of one of these guys. Let me pull this forager down here, because the next thing I'm going to do is need to equip him with a bow and arrow. Just basic defense. It'd be pretty embarrassing if I got slaughtered by goblins while I'm trying to explain the game. Let's equip the wood chopper with an axe so we can get to work. Unfortunately, all I started with was a stone axe, which is the lowest quality. I'm going to manually select a few trees from the chop just so I can keep a little control over him. And take a look at my resources, and it looks like I started with 14 food and 4 wood logs, and that's just sweet-tacular. Let's find my carpenter, Ron Swanson. Let's change him into a builder so I can demonstrate a little construction. I'll give him an iron hammer, nice. I'd rebuild all of Helm's Deep for you if I had the time in this video, but I just don't. So I'll start with a small wood log wall. I'll go into the design menu, choose build, and I have 6 wood logs because Paul Bunyan back there just finished chopping his first tree. And here we have the selection box. It basically represents one block or space in the game world. When I click, I set the starting point for that selection. And this is how you build your fortifications. Wherever you drag this is where you're telling the builder to construct those log wall blocks. So let's select a small wall area. You can open and close the design menu at any time to show or hide the current layouts or designations that you've made. So the advantage of log walls is that they are the quickest to build, and they require the most plentiful of the resources. The downside is that they are comparatively weaker than stone or brick, and of course wood is much more flammable. The plan now is to show you how to craft bricks to use as a building material. First I'll need to equip the stonemason with a hammer, and luckily I have just one left. Next I'll go in the crafting menu, under tools and workshops, and I'll need to build 2 things. First, a masonry bench for the stonemason to work at, and then a forge to fire the bricks. Placing these workshops works similarly to the design menu, but here you can rotate these structures before I place them. Any crafter unit type can build these workshops, but since the stonemason is the only one with a hammer, he's the one who's going to have to craft all these. Now bricks require stone and dirt to craft, so I'll have to give the miner my only pickaxe and start a quarry. There are a few different ways to gather stone and ore. You can mine underground, you can flatten boulders and rocks, or you can make a quarry. To me, when you make a big quarry, it feels like a waste of land, but for the purposes of this video, it'll be small and it'll do. You set the digging area the same way you do a building area. You've probably noticed already that the design zones are color-coded, so you can always tell what's being laid out and where. As you can see, the mining zones are red. As soon as he's finished digging up the top layer of earth, I'll have him start mining into the stone. It should take him a second because he's using the lowest quality pickaxe, and he's quite low level. And it looks like he's about to gather his first piece. So let's go back to the crafting menu and have the stonemason make us some bricks. When you hover the cursor over a craftable resource, a tooltip will pop up to show you what is required to craft that resource. And as you can see, in order to craft 2 bricks, it requires 1 raw stone and 1 dirt. So let's craft a few of those. They go into the queue and the stonemason will start working. Now if I remember correctly, this stonemason is level 5 and the bricks are fairly easy to craft, so there's very little risk of him failing and wasting my resources, but it can happen. First he'll work at the bench and then he'll head over to the forge, which I still have to add a texture to, so please forgive me for that. Now you might have missed it, but I went into my wood chopper's unit preferences and I set him to continuously independently chop trees. For some reason it just bothers me to have him sitting around doing nothing. Now that the stonemason is almost done making those bricks, let's go into the build menu and build a small wall with them like we did before. So now I have my builder stacking my bricks, my stonemason making those bricks, and my wood chopper basically destroying the forest. But I've neglected the most important resource in the game in my opinion, which is food. And the most basic way to collect food is to gather it with the forager. So let's go into his menu and tell him to gather berries. He'll then find the closest berry bush and gather all the available berries and move on to the next closest bush. And he'll do that until you tell him to stop. When he's finished gathering from that first bush, I think I'll have him stop, and then I'll go back into his preferences and show you his bow range. He's using a short bow, which has a short range, but is extremely useful and accurate for hunting. Showing the range is especially useful when placing archers on walls, but for now, I'll just show the range so that you can see that this chicken is about to be shot in or around its face. The forager will then go collect the resources from that dead chicken, most importantly the food in the form of poultry, but also his feathers, which are useful for crafting arrows. Let's also have this stonemason make some more bricks, because he's standing there vacantly staring into the furnace. And here we go, 3 food and 4 feathers from that chicken. I think that's about all I have to show for this video, but I'd like to remind you all that this is but a very, very small glimpse of what you can do in Timber and Stone in its current state, which in of itself is not much compared to what I have planned for the game. Again, thank you all very much for taking a look, and if you haven't already, please read over the Kickstarter. I understand it's a lot of text, but I really wanted to get the vision of my game across. So please to support and share my Kickstarter link with your friends in any forums that you might visit. Thank you.